The idea that power isn't given but taken is one of the most enduring truths about human nature. While philosophers have spent centuries debating how the world should be, Niccolò Machiavelli cut through the idealism to reveal the raw mechanics of how power actually operates. His observations were so brutally honest that his name became synonymous with cunning and manipulation. Yet, 5 centuries later, his insights continue to shape politics, business, and even personal relationships. What Machiavelli uncovered wasn't just a playbook for rulers. It was a blueprint for understanding how people are influenced, controlled, and, yes, manipulated. His work remains forbidden wisdom in many circles because it exposes the uncomfortable realities of human behavior that the powerful would rather keep hidden. At the heart of Machiavelli's philosophy is a simple but unsettling truth. People are not as rational or virtuous as they like to believe. While his contemporaries wrote about humanity as they wished it to be, Machiavelli described people as they truly are, driven by self-interest, fear, and immediate needs. He observed that men are so simple of mind and so much dominated by their immediate needs that a deceitful man will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived. This foundational insight reveals that most human behavior, no matter how it's rationalized, stems from 2 core motivations: fear and self-preservation. This isn't cynicism, it's realism. When you strip away the moral pretenses and social niceties, human behavior becomes startlingly predictable. People consistently choose survival over principle, short-term gains over long-term benefits, and strength over weakness. Consider how quickly public opinion shifts when circumstances change. The same population that demands war after an attack will protest for peace when casualties mount. The employee who praises leadership in public will criticize them in private. The friend who promises loyalty disappears when supporting you becomes inconvenient. Machiavelli didn't judge these contradictions. He simply recognized them as the terrain on which power operates. One of his most profound insights was that morality is often performative rather than substantive. Everyone sees what you appear to be, he wrote. Few experience what you really are. This gap between appearance and reality is where manipulation thrives. People judge based on perceptions and outcomes, not intentions or methods. This is why the appearance of virtue often holds more weight than virtue itself. A leader who maintains a public image of integrity while privately cutting corners will usually be more successful than one who is genuinely honest but appears weak. This principle extends beyond politics. It applies to everyday life. The co-worker, who loudly takes credit for contributions, is often valued more than the quiet worker who actually drives results. The romantic partner who makes grand gestures is often perceived as more loving than the one who provides steady, unshowy support. Understanding this dynamic gives you a crucial advantage: the ability to shape perceptions rather than merely reacting to them. This is the essence of Machiavellian control. Not forcing people against their nature, but working with human nature as it truly exists. One of Machiavelli's most controversial questions was whether it's better to be loved or feared. His answer was unequivocal. If one cannot be both, it is far safer to be feared than loved. This challenges conventional wisdom, which holds that inspiring love and loyalty is the highest form of leadership. But Machiavelli recognized that love is unstable. It depends on obligation, and people are ungrateful, fickle, dissemblers, anxious to avoid danger, and covetous of gain. When self-interest conflicts with affection, self-interest almost always wins. The subordinate who claims to love their leader will abandon them for a better opportunity. The friend who professes loyalty will disappear when that loyalty becomes costly. Fear, on the other hand, provides a more reliable foundation for control. Fear is maintained by a dread of punishment that never fails. Love can be withdrawn the moment it becomes inconvenient, but fear remains constant. People might stop loving you, but they rarely stop fearing consequences. This doesn't mean ruling through terror or cruelty. Machiavelli made a crucial distinction between fear and hatred. A prince should inspire fear in such a way that if he does not win love, he avoids hatred. Fear becomes counterproductive when it transforms into active resentment. The most effective form of fear isn't random violence, but the fear of consistent consequences. The leader who arbitrarily punishes creates hatred. The one who enforces clear rules creates productive fear. This dynamic plays out in all areas of life. In negotiations, the person who can credibly threaten to walk away holds power over the one who is emotionally invested. In relationships, the partner who needs the relationship less often controls its terms. In social groups, those who can grant or withhold approval hold influence over those who crave acceptance. The lesson is clear. To maintain control, you must position yourself as someone who can impact others' outcomes, positively or negatively. Make others depend on you more than you depend on them. Create circumstances where aligning with your interests becomes their path of least resistance. The modern workplace illustrates this perfectly. The boss who is friends with everyone struggles to enforce discipline. The one who maintains professional distance while clearly communicating expectations achieves better results. They may not be loved, but they are respected. And respect, coupled with measured fear, is far more reliable than affection. This doesn't mean abandoning kindness. It means recognizing that sustainable influence requires more than just being liked. It requires creating a structure where following your lead serves others' self-interest, and where defiance has consequences they wish to avoid. Machiavelli's most enduring lesson is the power of perception management. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. This is the cornerstone of his philosophy, the careful cultivation of a public image separate from private reality. People judge by appearances, not substance. The actual content of your character matters less than how that character is perceived. The first rule of perception management is selective virtue. A prince should appear merciful, faithful, humane, religious, and upright, Machiavelli wrote, and should even be so in reality. But he should have his mind so trained that when occasion requires it, he may know how to change to the opposite. This isn't hypocrisy, it's strategic adaptation. No single virtue serves in all situations. Mercy can embolden enemies, honesty can reveal vulnerabilities. Upholding every virtue at all times leads to defeat in a world where others don't share that commitment. The solution is to cultivate a reputation for virtue while maintaining the flexibility to act otherwise when necessary. The second rule is symbolic action. Most people judge by outcomes, not processes. A few visible symbolic actions often outweigh consistent behavior in shaping perception. The politician who stages a single publicized visit to a disaster zone gets more credit than one who quietly implements long-term aid. The manager who publicly recognizes an employee's achievement appears more supportive than one who consistently helps behind the scenes. By understanding this, you can invest strategically in high-visibility actions that shape perception broadly. The third rule is information control. The prince who creates a false impression of himself and conceals his true aims will always find people who let themselves be deceived. By controlling what others know, you shape what they believe. This doesn't necessarily mean lying, it means selective emphasis. Highlight favorable information while minimizing unfavorable facts. Release difficult news during distractions. Package uncomfortable truths within appealing narratives. The most effective manipulators aren't those who fabricate reality, but those who selectively present it. The fourth rule is delegation. Princes should delegate unpopular duties to others while dispensing favors themselves. Associate yourself personally with positive actions while distancing yourself from negative ones. This explains why effective leaders deliver good news personally but have subordinates communicate bad news. They link themselves to successes while attributing failures to circumstances. This isn't just self-protection, it's strategic perception management. Machiavelli didn't just theorize, he provided practical tactics for gaining and maintaining control. The first is strategic generosity. Men sooner forget the death of their father than the loss of their inheritance. Material interests outweigh emotional or moral considerations. By strategically providing benefits, you create both gratitude and dependency. The key is visibility. Generosity must be memorable and clearly attributed to you. This is why effective leaders ensure their teams know exactly who to thank for bonuses or promotions. The second tactic is calculated mercy. Men should either be caressed or eliminated because they will avenge minor injuries but cannot avenge severe ones. Half measures create resentment. Either fully reconcile with opponents or remove their ability to oppose you. This is why effective leaders either reintegrate employees who've made mistakes or remove them entirely. No middle ground. The third tactic is leveraging crisis. Never waste a good crisis is the modern version of Machiavelli's insight that disruption creates opportunity. During normal times, power structures resist change. During crisis, people accept measures they would otherwise reject. This doesn't mean creating artificial problems. It means using natural disruptions to implement changes under the banner of necessity. The fourth tactic is strategic alliance. The prince should be the only one from whom favors are expected. Position yourself as the gateway to benefits, ensuring others must work through you. This creates leverage and information advantage. In organizations, structure processes so approvals flow through you. In social circles, become the connector who introduces people to opportunities. The fifth tactic is predictive consistency. Nothing makes a prince more esteemed than undertaking great enterprises and giving striking examples of his own abilities. Establish a pattern of successful predictions and actions. This creates an aura of competence that enhances influence, even if not every decision is optimal. Machiavelli wrote for Renaissance princes, but his principles apply today in subtler forms. Modern manipulators rarely use direct coercion. They shape environments where others choose desired actions voluntarily. The office Machiavellian doesn't openly undermine rivals, but ensures their successes are attributed to luck, while their failures receive attention. The social manipulator doesn't demand compliance, but creates situations where the desired behavior is the path of least resistance. The most effective modern tactic is meta-manipulation, making people believe they're acting freely while constraining their options. Effective leaders present predetermined decisions as collaborative. Marketers create false choices that all lead to purchase. Negotiators offer minor concessions to secure major ones while appearing flexible. For those disturbed by these tactics, remember, Machiavelli didn't invent them. He simply described what power players have always done. Understanding these mechanics doesn't obligate you to use them, but ignorance makes you vulnerable to those who do. The ethical question isn't whether to engage with Machiavellian tactics, But how? Blind rejection leaves you exposed. Uncritical acceptance risks moral compromise. The middle path, understanding these dynamics without being controlled by them, offers the most sustainable approach. Machiavelli's ultimate insight may be that power itself is neutral. The same principles that enable manipulation also enable leadership and protection. The difference lies in their application. Influence directed toward collective benefit, control exercised for protection, perception management that inspires rather than deceives. These are the marks of power used wisely. Understanding human nature isn't corruption, it's clarity. The choice isn't between idealism and cynicism, but between blindness and awareness. Machiavelli's real lesson is that the most powerful position is clear-eyed realism coupled with chosen virtue, not because it always succeeds, but because it allows you to navigate the world as it truly is.